Hello, this is my technical UI demonstration video for Module 4 and my code overview. So let me move this out the way. So basically, this is a project. This is a Node.js project with an Express API containing 6 endpoints. You have slash hello slash status slash error slash email list slash region average slash calc residential and slash contact us. So because this module is an API project, it does not include a graphical user interface or database. So I will demonstrate its behavior using Postman and the server console. Postman and the server console. So and then I'll be able to explain the project structure with some of the internal implementation. So I'll begin. Obviously, I already npm start. So the server is running. My Postman collection already contains all of my Module 4 endpoints with my URLs, query parameters, and request bodies configured in advance, so for the video, obviously. So the first endpoint is get hello. Oh, full screen this. Yeah, so the first endpoint is get hello. So when I send this request, the server returns the successful status response. It returns a successful status with 200, and obviously the successful response being hello world, exclamation point. The server console also logs that the port is currently being used, and this satisfies the requirement, meaning that the endpoint returns the correct message and logs the active port. The second would be get status. So when I turn in get status, I get a 200. It tells me my port, my environment. So the values, these aren't hard coded in the endpoint. They actually come from my .env file with my current configuration. So the port is 3000 and the environment is my development from the branch. So if I change the environment variables and restart the application, the endpoint uses new values. So next is get slash error. Okay, yeah. So get slash error. So this endpoint intentionally simulates a problem. So when I send the request, it returns an error status code with a clear message. It'll either internally it uses throw new error with the parentheses and try and catch block. So this demonstrates the controlled error handling, and instead of allowing the server to crash, the error is caught and a consistent response is sent to the client for fixing. Next, I'll do my email list. I'll save these for later. So when I submit my get email list, I'm confronted with a 200 OK. So this is a good one, good response. It returns all the emails. All the emails comma separated, containing the email address of every agent. The agent records are stored in a separate JavaScript file, so they're not directly inside the app.js. So this endpoint just loads the data, it validates it, and it extracts each email with the map method, and it combines the addresses with the command join. Next, now I'll do my region average. So I'll start from north. So north, you get the average rating, the average fee, the region, okay. I'll go south, again, average rating, average fee, okay, 200. I'll do west. This one's going to be a little different because you get a 404 because no agents are found in this region. Or you get a 404 with a message, no agents are found. And then I'll do east, 200, average rating, average fee. Let me do this real quick. So next is the get calc residential. So yeah. This box is actually interactive. You can change the tier from it. You get the required cost, the amount of elevators needed, everything you get needed, including the tax with the installation fee. So this API returns a JSON object containing the required number of elevators with the total cost. So the endpoint performs several validation checks, and the apartment and floors must be numbers. They also must be integers, so they must be greater than 0. The tier must be standard, premium, or Excellium. And to demonstrate this, I'll change the tier to an invalid value. The API rejects the request and explains which tier numbers are allowed. I'll also enter a negative or decimal number to show that the number of validation works. So you fill. So unlike the other endpoints, this one's a little different because it's a post and it's not a get. This is a method and it contains the first name, last name, and message. So when I send a request, which is the request, the API acknowledges the sender with a response such as message received from John Doe, which is the response here. This is not hard coded into the API. The complete response object is logged in the server console as required. So and if a field is missing or invalid, the API returns a controlled error response. So now I can explain how the project is actually organized. So in my root, you have the app.js. This configures Express. It loads environmental variables and enables the JSON body parsing. So it also defines and connects to API endpoints. So it's responsible for server setup and request handling, etc. The agent information is all stored in data in agents.js or calcul.js. So this is for the calculator, and some other stuff in the calculator is also in here. Just keeps it more consistent. And the AI directory, it contains my specmd, which is my entire project folder, and then the features for all of them. You have 7 because there were 7 of them there. My root also contains my README, my concepts.md, and my postman collection.json. Where is it? My postman collection.json. All endpoints follow a similar request lifecycle. So first, Express receives the request and then matches its HTTP method and path. The route extracts the information from one of 3 places: the environment variables, query parameters, or request body. So for example, the /region average, and it reads region from the request.query in calc residential, and then it reads its calculation parameters from request.query dot contact us, and reads its fields from request body. Next, the application validates the input. It checks for missing values, and unsupported tiers and non-numeric values, decimals, and numbers less than or equal to 0. Only after validation succeeds does the route call the relevant data processing or calculation logic. The result is then returned through response.send or response.json, with successful requests use an appropriate success status, while invalid input or server errors use appropriate error codes. The project does not require front-end state management or page navigation, making it a lot easier than Module 3 because it's an API-only application. Postman acts as the client, and each request is independent, and data flows from Postman to Express through the core logic and back as an HTTP response. The project also does not use dbeaver or MongoDB because Module 4 data is stored in separate JavaScript files, and it doesn't need a server. So I'm stating this explicitly because the database demonstration is only required when a database is applicable. So maybe next module, but not this module. So to summarize, I have demonstrated all 6 Module 4 API features, including successful behavior validation and error class. I also explained how Express handles requests, how environment variables are loaded, and how data and calculation logic are separated from server setup, and how AI specification files document each feature. This completes my Module 4 functional demonstration and code overview. Thank you very much, Mr. ETN.